Hello, Pete here again. Welcome to the blog, and today we're going to be looking at a wonderful set of dies called Geo Insects from Tim Holtz. Now, this was really popular recently on a Hochanda show, and we are going to blend it with some stencil film, and we're also going to use the crochet set. The detail in that is phenomenal. We saw it in a vlog earlier. I hope you enjoy. Watch the movie. So here is the star of the show. This is Geo Insects. Of course, we had Geo Spring in chapter 1, and we've got some others coming along soon. People seem to love this style of die cutting. Very unique, very, very Tim Holtz. We're going to use two of these today. We're going to use the bee and we're going to use the stag beetle. And I'm going to start by cutting my stencil film. Now, I always think it's best to cut with the die face up. I don't know why, it gives you a lovely clean cut there. So I'll place it between my two cutting plates, and because this is quite a complex die, for peace of mind you can run it through twice. Doesn't really matter. And there we are, there's our lovely cut insect there. That's the stag beetle. Of course, we're going to do the bee. Now, some other dies I'm going to use, we saw these a few weeks back. These are from the crochet set. Really super detailed dies these are. I'm going to run one through, and again I'm going to do it face up because we are working with lots of detail there. So I'll place that onto my cutting plate, make the sandwich and run it through. Even though these dies have epic levels of detail, I know that one pass through the machine is suffice to get that gorgeous, gorgeous cut. Look at that there. No, it's probably best if I put it against the blue. You can see the level of detail there. I would invest in a die brush at this point to get all the bits out of there as well. Not a bad idea. So there we have it. We're going to do the two strips of lace. We're going to cut the two stencils, and we're going to cut two black insects as well. So on my craft mat here, I've got the two die cuts from the stencil film, and I've attached those to this ivory card. Difficult to see at this stage, but it should all become clear as we move on. Now, I'm going to start with the bee, and I'm going to use distress oxides for this. So I'll use the carved pumpkin, which is a lovely rich orange colour. Absolutely gorgeous. All the oranges in the range are all distinctly different. This is one of my favourites. Next, squeezed lemonade. It's very pale yellow. Not as rich as the mustard seed, but it's perfect for blending with other tones. So that's the bee, and then we'll bring in the stag beetle. I suppose you call it a stag beetle. Not an entomologist, so I'm no expert on these things, but so this is broken china, one of my favourite colours, one I go back to time and again. It's great for blending with yellows and greens and blues. It's right in the middle there. Now, twisted citron is the next colour. This is a lovely rich bright green, and it blends perfectly with that broken china. Marriage made in heaven. There we are. Get a bit more in the top there. Of course, the more colour you put, the more intense it becomes. Finally, a new favourite of mine, Mermaid Lagoon. It's a lovely, lovely blue, this is, but it just adds a little something at the base of the stag beetle there. Now, at this point, I appreciate we still can't really see how this is going to end up. I'm going to spritz lightly with my distress sprayer there, and I'm going to let that water work its magic, and we'll come back and they'll be all dry. Okay, I'll let these dry naturally, particularly when I'm using spray adhesive, because if you dry them with a heat tool, it could activate the adhesive and make it quite tacky. So we want to avoid that where possible. I'll peel away this die-cut stencil film, and that will reveal this gorgeous, gorgeous bee. There's just a bit of stencil film got stuck there. It's almost inevitable when you're working with I'm going to have to reach for my pokey tool in my box of tricks. So we'll just tease that away. There we have it. Lovely. So there is my bee. You can see that. You can see the gradation of tones there between the orange and the yellow. And next up, my stag beetle. Peel that. Oh, look at that. Glorious, lovely. And you can see the difference, I hope, that the Mermaid Lagoon blue at the base makes. But that's nice by itself before we do anything with it. But we do have quite a ways to go. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some stamps. These are various splatter stamps from different sources. And what I'm going to do now is apply the Stress Oxide ink pad to the stamps. And I'm going to blend that together with the Twisted Citron, and here I'm going to come down towards the bottom of my stag beetle, and you can see, because we've used the same colours, everything's working harmoniously together. Same again. Oh, this time I'll start with the Twisted Citron. Let's move those out of the way so I can do this on the flat. And then come from this end with the Broken China. Now, I'm going to take this near the top and put it about there. And again, you see, blending those two colours as we did on the beetle, really, really nice. Now, we'll see the bee a little bit later, so we'll put that to one side for a second, and I'm going to bring in some other stamps. There's a text stamp, and this one's kind of like a distressed edge of a photo film. I'm going to use Memento London Fog. This is one of my favourite inks. It's a light grey, and it's quite subtle. Well, I would say it's a mid-grey actually. And I'm going to stamp that photo film edge about there. There. Great effect. Next up, I'm going to take the text stamp and come in from the side there. That's lovely. So this gives it a kind of a mixed media vibe as well. Now, next up, I'm going to take this lovely postmark stamp, again from a completely different source, and I want to use Milled Lavender Distress Ink, not Oxide. It's a very subtle colour which I bring into a lot of projects, but you'd hardly know it's there in truth. It just sits under the radar, but it does make an impact. If you start using tones and colours of the same value, of the same strength, then everything kind of gets all mixed up and a bit mushy, like when you're trying to mix a purple and it turns into a horrible brown. So you need to be quite subtle how you balance these different tones. Before I move on, I'm going to take my Antique Linen Distress Ink. I'm going to use this around the edge, and it'll really bring everything together, tie it in, and give it that lovely antique vibe, which is what I'm going for. It's kind of I don't know what style this make is. There are antique elements, there are mixed media elements, and there are some modern elements as well. So if you can think of a name for that style, or the combination of all those different elements, then please do write in at the bottom of the vlog. But that's it, that's kind of ready to go. Before I do that, I'm taking some scrap paper and I've got some silver gilding wax. Now, remember the die cuts from earlier? My bee, I said I was cutting these off camera, as the beetle and the bee, and my 2 strips of lace. Well, if I put this, as I intend to, over the top of that's great, it has real impact. But it's a bit too in your face, and it doesn't quite sit with what else is going on. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's just take those out, shot for a second. I'm going to use some gilding wax. This is silver gilding wax, but I don't want to use too much. So you can see I'm applying it to my paper before I apply it to the die cut. That means I won't have anything on my finger, too much rather, on my finger at any one time. It also means that I have more control over how much I'm applying. I won't get a horrible big blob stuck to the corner of my finger. That would be, quite frankly, disastrous. And as with most things, if you want to add more, you can. You can never ever take it away. You just have to start again from scratch. So that's my beetle. Same with the lace. Start on the scrap paper and then work on the die cut. And that's it, so we'll blend that in. I think you get the idea. Absolutely gorgeous. It smells of oranges. It's made with orange oil. So that's all the elements, and let's see how they're put together. Now, if I take those out for a second, I'll show you the finished make. Let's take away my craft mat. There is the first card, and you can see I've used a wood grain base card, and I've also printed out this sentiment, which I've trimmed to size and inked the edges again. This silver on black, it's so subtle. You can't. Black would be too heavy, silver would be a bit too much, a bit too blingy. But to get that real sort of antique vintagey vibe, it's perfect. Then the second card, you can see what we did. We did the same with the distress stamps, using the 2 inks that we used for the bee underneath there. So all the same kind of elements going on, 2 very similar cards which sit, I hope, very well together. Well, there you go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the techniques, and if you want any more information about our products and dies, or if you want some inspiration from our vlogs and blogs, simply go to sizzix.co.uk. Bye!